and I want to thank you both for inviting me to share this time with you this evening, but also, Bishop, I want to thank you for your words. We've been reading, we around the church have been reading your words of wisdom and of poetic, prophetic hope. Um, I I'm just so I wish I could move to Minnesota, except in the winter. Um, but maybe I'll talk my wife into retiring there. But I thank you for your leadership. I thank the people of the Episcopal Church in Minnesota for you have been faithful through this journey, and many of you have marched, and I virtually all have prayed, and you have stayed the course. And there is work yet to be done. We have miles to go before we sleep, but yet the road is going somewhere, and we know where it is going. And it is to a better world, a better America, a better Minnesota, a better you, a better me, a new creation. From all of your sisters, brothers, siblings who are the Episcopal Church, wherever they may be, please know they've been praying for you and praying for the communities, and we will continue to do so. Let me offer a word it's from Isaiah, which you'll find Jesus quotes Isaiah probably more than any other prophet. But in this one passage, it comes from the 40th chapter, which is just after the Jewish people who had found themselves in bondage in Babylon, having been made captive by an alien power from Babylon. And many of them had been carted off to Babylon into a virtual slavery. And when that time came to an end, and they found that they had been delivered, they started to go back home. And going back home, they had hope. They went home with hope. And that hope helped them. But there was a reality. Back home wasn't what they thought it was going to be. We sometimes may be leaving the pandemic thinking that the world's going to go back to January of 2020, which was no golden age. I was there. But that's how we humans are. And so they were going back home to Jerusalem. But Jerusalem wasn't what they had hoped. The walls were torn down. The city wasn't what they thought it had been in their dreams. And they realized that even in the moment of freedom, the work has only begun. Even in the moment of rejoicing, the work has only begun. And the prophet Isaiah said this in the sense of poetry like your bishop. He said, and I quote, "Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His way, his understanding is unsearchable. For even youths will faint and fall exhausted. But those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings like eagles. They shall run and not faint. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They will walk and not faint. I'm struck by the language that I didn't expect in the text. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. I would think the running would make you faint and that the walking would make you weary because it takes forever. But there's a wisdom in this text that may be helpful for us. The race, as it says in Ecclesiastes, is not to the swift, but to those that persevere. It is not in the running. It is not in the sprint. It is in the long walk to freedom, as the biography of Nelson Mandela says. It is in the long walk to freedom, as they crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. It is the long walk to freedom, as freedom riders walked and rode throughout the South. It is in the long walk to freedom that protesters walked and protested and sang last year until the country's attention was turned to it. It is the long walk to freedom that had folk all over the world. I got a call from the Archbishop of Canterbury, and he told me they're protesting here. And I said, see what America can do for you? It is the long walk that can make you faint because it's long. It's not quick success. One victory does not mean the victory of a war. The work goes on. The struggle continues. But we know now the victory can be won. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings like eagles. They shall run and they shall not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Today, while it can't bring George Floyd back, can be a moment of hope. Moments of hope are not writ large. They are small rays of hope. But sometimes that's enough. If you would allow me a personal moment, for all the years of my life that I can remember, I have been taught to be wary of the police. When I was a teenager, I was given the same talk that every Black boy was given. Don't talk back if you get stopped, once I started driving. Never make any rapid moves. Keep your hands so they can see you. Don't talk back. Don't provoke them. I've heard that all my life. And I'm aware that you get conditioned by the repetition of that kind of thing. And I have to admit that as overjoyed as I was when Barack Obama was elected president, I was less surprised then than I am today. I'm not sure, but that my conditioning intended to save a Black boy from running afoul of the police and losing his life. What happened to George Floyd has been happening. The difference was there were no cameras. And it was just the Black community crying, indigenous communities crying, brown communities crying, some Asian communities crying like a voice in the wilderness. But then there were cameras, and America saw. And something shifted slightly because the goodness that's in most of us saw and said, that's wrong. But even with that, I've got to tell you, there was a part of me, and I'm a fairly optimistic guy, but there's a part of me that just couldn't give in to the hope until the jury had rendered its verdict. Because I've heard this tape, I've seen this movie over and over and over again. And yet, 12 jurors of different races, probably different politics, 12 human beings believed in humanity enough, believed in human decency enough, believed in justice enough, maybe even believed in love for your neighbor enough to do what we never thought would happen. There was a moment when when his life was being snuffed out, that one of the witnesses at the trial, the older gentleman whose name I don't remember, he was, well, I say he was older, he was probably my age, but nonetheless, the older gentleman on the stage, he was the one that had the white glasses, the older guy, and he broke down and he cried when he testified. He was the one who said what I grew up hearing: don't fight them back because you can't win. And he was trying to save George's life. Don't fight back. You can't win. In the old days, they're gonna beat you with those billy clubs. They're gonna kill you, and they're gonna get away with it. Don't fight back. You can't win. And yet, the old man was right. He couldn't win on that street. And most of us feared he couldn't win. But today, if but for one moment, justice won. Today, if for one moment truth won. Today, if for one moment righteousness won. Today, if but for one moment kindness won. Today, if but for one moment love won. And today, George Floyd won. Our work now goes on. The struggle continues. There will be losses and there will be wins. But we must continue until no human child of God is treated less than a child of God. Until everybody is treated as God's somebody. Until this world and our communities, our beloved communities, where there's plenty good room for all of God's children. This is our work. This is our task. This is our struggle. But remember, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. And they shall walk, Minnesota. They shall walk, America. They shall walk, children of God, and not be weary until victory is won for good. Amen.
Amen.